What's going on, everyone? So before I get into the main topics for today, what a game by the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. Down 12, going in the fourth quarter, 10-0 on the season, and to finish strong and about scoring them by 17 and closing out late in the game. The game was back and forth towards the end, and then they were able to get over the hump, close it out. You got to give the Cavs some credit, man. The Cavs just look absolutely spectacular. But a point of emphasis that I want to talk about today: Memphis Grizzlies and the Phoenix Suns, two teams that are going to be without their two best players for potentially weeks. So starting with Kevin Durant, he is going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks with a calf strain. This is not great. This is not ideal for a Phoenix Suns team who currently, time of recording this video, is 8-1 on the season. Only loss, by the way, is to my Lakers. Just want to point that out there. But this hurts. Right, this hurts a Phoenix Suns team who is really, they're looking great. They're playing really good basketball. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, starting to seem like they're coming together. They had their issues last season in their defense. Bradley Beal missed half the season. The problem is it's kind of who he is as a player. I personally, this is just me, I'm not personally sold on Phoenix as a real championship contender. I know Phoenix fans might feel otherwise. I just think that once they get to the playoffs, all of their issues are going to be so much more of an issue. Regular season, you can kind of get away with their style of play, with their lack of size, with their lack of defense. Right? But once you get into the playoffs where things really starting to tighten up, right? You're playing against just better defenses, better offenses on a nightly basis in a 7-game series. I just think that they're going to run into one of these bigger teams, and I think they're just going to get ran through like they did last season. They were on a bit of a stretch going into the playoffs last year. I don't have a lot of faith in Phoenix to actually win a championship. Could they? Sure. Right? Like, on paper, they're ridiculous. They have enough offensive firepower, and could they get hot and, or the right matchups? Right? Like, if they don't play like a Denver or Minnesota or something like that, could they end up, just say they play, I don't know, the Thunder and Dallas. Could they beat them? And then could they end up being in a conference finals against like the Warriors or something, and it's just like a shootout game and end up pulling out? Now they're in the NBA Finals against like Boston or something? Sure, right? But I think realistically, I don't. I think they're a first, second round exit. I think they're going to end up having to play one of those more physical, one of those more sizable teams at some point. But this hurts because ideally you want to get the best seeding possible. And Kevin Durant has been spectacular, averaging slightly over 27 a game. It's kind of their do-everything. I mean, he is their best player. They do have still Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, two guys that can give you enough firepower on the offensive side of things and kind of work some stuff out. But just everything that Kevin Durant does, the playmaking, his ability on the defensive side, his ability to just kind of impact the game and kind of just keep the pressure on the defense, keep the pressure off of the Phoenix Suns. You get tight in games. He's usually the guy that you're giving the ball down to just close things out. Right? We've seen him just hit some spectacular shots already this season to really close out some of these games. I do think that it could potentially present itself as a real problem for Phoenix. And I could see them rattling off a couple losses here. I could see them kind of, heading down on a downward trajectory, especially if Kevin Durant takes too long. We got to remember, he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Doesn't mean he'll be back in 2 weeks. It means he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So he could end up missing, 4, 5, 6 weeks, right? Because you got to imagine, if you're Phoenix, you want to take your time in him returning. Last thing you want is him getting hurt or say rushing back, and then he gets hurt again, and now, you're in trouble. So if you're Phoenix, you got to kind of do your best. But Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, they haven't been really models of health the last few years, especially Bradley Beal. So if one of them end up missing time now, one of their problems last year was guys not being able to stay healthy. Right? Kevin Durant was very healthy last year for them. But you saw Devin Booker miss extended time. Bradley Beal missed like half the season. If that starts to become a thing, you're already 9 games in. You still have another, 73? Right? Like, you got a long way to go. Right? And right now, 8-1 start is fantastic. But last thing you want to do is, especially with as tight as the Western Conference is, you look up and it's like, oh, wow, we're the 6th seed or the 9th seed, right? And, because you lost 3-4 games in a row, or you lose 4 out of 6 or something, and now you're the 10th seed, and let's say Kevin Durant comes back, and now, we saw last year, like literally a game was the difference between being a play-in team and, the 5th seed. Like, it's just, the West is so tight. You even look at it right now, there's like 7 teams that are tied for like 5th through like 11th, like, or everyone's just decided by like a game, and that's probably going to continue to be the case as we progress into the season, right? Like, it's just, I don't see that changing by any stretch. But another team that is really going to be impacted by injuries is the Memphis Grizzlies. So the Memphis Grizzlies are already without Desmond Bane. They've already been dealing with a bunch of injuries. And now Ja Morant is expected to be week to week now with a grade 1 pelvic muscle strain. So he is going to be week to week. He could be out a week. He could be out several. He could be out months for all we know, right? Like, and again, they're right now sitting at 6-4 on the season. They've had their good wins. They've had their bad wins. They've had their good moments. They've had their bad moments. But this is a team that, we saw last year without Ja, they are a very different team. Very different team. Now, you do have Zach Edey, who has been good and giving you some size, and then Triple J, and, Scottie Pippen Jr. is out here dropping triple doubles and stuff like that, but they're not the Grizzlies with Ja Morant, right? Like, it's just a completely different team. So that they're going to end up losing some games at some point if he misses any extended time. And again, the West is so tight, they lose 5 out of 6 games or whatever while he's gone. All of a sudden, they could have a long hill to climb. And I already don't think that they're this great team. I think that they're good. I think that they're very good. I think they're a tough team to beat. Right? I think that they're a playoff team, but I don't think that I don't think that they're winning a championship this year, even healthy with Ja. Right? I don't think so. Memphis fans probably feel otherwise, but I don't think Zach Edey was the difference in them. Like, oh, now all of a sudden they're top contender team, but I did expect them to be very good this year. I did expect them to be, top 5 to 6 seed at the worst, but again, this just shows how tough the Western Conference is, right? Like, you have 1, 2, 3 key players end up missing significant time. All of a sudden you look up and it's an uphill battle the rest of your season. Like, you losing 4 games in a row or, 4 out of 5 games, it could be the difference between you being a playoff team or a play-in team. It could be the difference between you missing the playoffs and being a playoff team. You're talking about a Western Conference that's just so incredibly competitive. Like I said, everybody right now, outside of like 3 teams, are all kind of in that like 4-loss range. Like, literally. You just have so many teams that are all just like jam-packed with like the 4 losses. Let's do this in real time. So in the Western Conference, you have from the 11th seed Kings, so you have the Kings, the Mavs, the Clippers, the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Grizzlies are all in the 4-loss column. They're all 5-4, or in the Grizzlies' case, 6-4. And then you have the Nuggets and the Timberwolves that are both 6-3. So if they both lose a game, they could be 6-4. So literally, you are separated by 1 game from the 4 seed to the 11 seed. 1 game separates those that from the 4 seed to the 11 seed. 7 seedings. Like, again, that's how crazy the Western Conference is going to be. And this really hurts teams like Phoenix and Memphis to lose your best player. Right? It's not, they didn't lose their 3rd best guy, their 4th, no, they lost their best player, especially, at least the Phoenix Suns, they have Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. Like the Grizzlies, they just lost Ja, they don't have Baines. Like, it's a tough spot for them to be in, personally. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? First off, what do you think about the Cavs being 11-0? Like I said, I had to just kind of throw that in there because that was a game. That was a really good game. And you got to credit the Cavs. Cavs look tough. But also the main points of topic with the Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies. Do you think the Grizzlies are cooked? Do you think the Suns are cooked? Do you think they're both cooked? Do you think, nah, they'll be fine? Look, they're both two very good teams. They'll figure it out. They just got to kind of weather the storm. Again, obviously, the problem is, do you really want to rush them back, right? Ja had a season-ending injury last year, right? Do you want to rush him back and then he ends up having another injury again? And it's just same thing with Kevin Durant, right? He was really healthy last year, but the previous few years, he's had his injury issues, and it's just you rush him back, he gets hurt again. Now you're in a tough bind. It could be an issue, right? Definitely could be an issue. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.